I'm sure you are aware of the cries that are coming from that community. They have taken decisions to protest the conditions in which they do business. And my remarks are not so much focused on the challenges that the business community face today as to what needs to be done. Because these challenges are not new, they are not limited to the business community, they are part and parcel of the national crisis that we, some 3 years ago, characterized as the crisis of failure to thrive in Uganda. The complaints of the business community are mainly focused around high tax regime in the country. And indeed, we have a very, very high tax regime. And it's a deliberate, it's part of a deliberate policy to cripple enterprise. It's a deliberate. We have talked about this in many, many campaigns, that actually high tax regime does not lead to high revenue for the state. It doesn't. Because when you put up taxes very high, few people buy because prices go high, and so few people buy, and so revenue, although the tax on every item is high, the revenue does not correspondingly rise. The revenue actually falls. But you see, we have a system that is not intended for the improvement of the common lot. The partnership in business in Uganda, and it's not just in business, maybe even in politics that control the country, is a partnership between those who control Uganda and foreigners. It's not a partnership with the local people, with the Ugandans. It's in fact a partnership against the Ugandans. And this is what needs to be clear. Not to just the business community, but to all Ugandans who are suffering. So today, the hardest hit in the business community are the small businesses, small and medium businesses. These are the most highly hit by the tax regime. You find that to import, and this is part of what they are crying about, importation, because a lot of what we use here is still imported, attracts an import duty of 35%. They have to pay VAT 18%, withholding tax 6%, infrastructure tax, whatever that is supposed to do, 5%, and that is just the beginning. As soon as they get into the shops, other taxes pile. And although we say we are part of the East African community, where there should have been harmonization of nearly everything save for the political federation. In Kenya, VAT up to now is 16%. In Uganda, it is 18%. So you find Ugandans have to compete with those who pay less tax. And that is how you find they get out of business. Now, for businesses like hotels, the other day I was having a chat with our chairman here, who is also a hotelier. Hotels pay about 25 different taxes on their one business. You'll find hotels pay corporation tax 30%, withholding tax 6%, VAT 18%, hotel tax. Hotel tax is established per district. Districts are the ones who impose it. Service charge 5%, trade union fee 2,000 per person, occupation safety 2 million per star. If you are 1 star, you pay 2 million. If you are 4 star, you pay 8 million. Copyright tax for music you play, for films they show, ground rent, trading license, restaurant license, bar license, swimming pool license, operations license, liquor license, entertainment license, payee, NSSF, and so on and so forth, on the same one business. So this is clearly, untenable. You kill the chicken that produces the eggs. The second complaint of the traders has been the management, the compliance measures to comply with the taxes. And one of the measures which is currently being complained about is that what they call EFRIS, electronic, EFRIS is it's called the electronic what? Yes, before invoicing, electronic something invoicing. But that EFRIS is about computerized direct taxation going to revenue from the business that you run. So if you are running a small shop, you have to buy a point of sale machine on which, if you make a receipt, the receipt separates the tax for revenue authority and informs revenue authority the tax you have collected from this transaction. So first of all, you have to register everything you have in your business into the machine. Must make a register. Whatever is sold from your register is recorded, and tax goes direct to revenue authority. If revenue authority finds somebody on the street who does not have the EFRIS report, and they ask him or her, and she says she bought it from this shop, then you are liable to a fine of 6 million. If you forgot to give a receipt and somebody gets out of the shop without that receipt, you pay a fine of 6 million instantly. And if you haven't registered, when you are supposed to have registered on that EFRIS, you pay a fine of 50 million. It's you to determine that I am liable to register. You go and register. If you haven't known that you are liable and you are found, you pay 50 million or you go to jail for 10 years. Now, we are dealing, this is why it impacts small traders. Because this is a revenue collection activity, but which the trader must invest in buying the machine, in carrying out all the registration, and indeed in harmonizing the accounts that regularly must be remitted to the revenue authority. Most of our small businesses are run by people who haven't even been to school, who don't know any of all this. And the threshold for registration is very low. I understand if you are making a sales, just if you are making sales of 450,000, then you must register. And you must buy this machine and register everything you are working on and so on and so forth. Now, secondly, this machine uses internet. So you must have internet. And the internet must be good internet connection, because otherwise it is too slow. If you have many people buying, you will not sell to them because you cannot produce the receipts at the speed which they want. So all these are just roadblocks that make it impossible for small businesses to function, because you are increasing their overheads. They must employ more staff to register all these items, to do all these things. It's simply not tenable. The other complaint on the EFRIS is that most of the importers here we have are small importers again. They combine their merchandise into one container and clear the container together and separate their merchandise to the different buyers. Now that is not allowed. Every trader must clear their items on their TIN number. So if you have 20 traders in a container, before you pay tax, you must separate the items to the 20 traders, and every trader must clear their own item under their own TIN, tax identification number. This is extremely time-consuming. It's costly because each one must now have a clearing agent, and so on and so forth. And again, for small businesses, they simply cannot survive. And then, of course, there is also in the compliance process. Somebody goes through all that, pays taxes. When they are getting out, the Bureau of Standards also arrests them. Says, we have to check the standards. But if you wanted to check standards, you should check them even before taxes are paid. Because what happens if you find that commodities are substandard? When they have already paid tax, do you get tax refund? Do you get... and so all these are the things that cause problems to the traders. And of course, it's not all that pass through this chaos. There are those who don't pay any taxes.